Okay, so we had some technical difficulties plugging in 0 for y whenever we're asked for the x-intercept, and now we're going to solve. So anything times 0 is 0, right? So whether you put minus 0 or plus 0, it doesn't really matter, because when you add or subtract 0 from the other side, it doesn't change the problem at all. So, I mean, you don't even really need to show that step or do that step. We should just kind of know that that 0 will not affect the problem at all. And then we will put this in our calculator, right? We're going to divide both sides by 6. So we get 35 negative divided by 6 equals, and it's okay to get decimals. We're going to get decimals sometimes. A lot of times we think as students that we did something wrong when we get a yucky number like this, but we just have to deal with them. And in this class, we always round to 1 decimal place, the tenths, so the 3 tells the 8 to stay the same. Okay? Understand why the y value is 0, because an x-intercept is on the x-axis, like right there, right? What is that point? Negative 5.8 comma 0, right? You don't go up or down. So that's why the y value is 0 on an x-intercept and vice versa on the y-intercept. Okay? Write the equation of the line. Guys, equation of the line means slope-intercept form. It's on your reference sheet. It's this, y equals mx plus b. That's what that means. So slope is m, right? M is negative 2/3. And it has this point. We just talked about when you have a 0 as one of the your x or your y, it's an intercept. So when you have 0 as your x value, that means 5/3 is your y-intercept. And remember, that's what b is. B is your y-intercept. B is your y-intercept. And that's what that is. So which one of these, if I put the m in here and the b in here, would be my answer? So I would just say be really careful when you're choosing your choices. I mean, it sounds so obvious for me to say, make sure you pick the right answer. Duh, that's the whole goal of taking a test, right? But, you know, they're going to give you, the people that make the tests, which we have well established is not me, is they think of ways to trick you, okay? So they'll put negative 2/3 in different places. Look how some of them have x by themselves. You know that can't be slope-intercept form. Even if you didn't know how to do this whole problem, you could easily get to a 50-50 chance, right? Because y should be the letter that's by itself. So immediately you could say, all right, I don't know how to do this problem, but I at least know it can't be C or D. Give yourself a 50-50 chance. Not that I want you to have to guess, but sometimes that's what we do. That's what we do. Okay? And at any point, please stop me if you have a question, okay? Okay, so here we have an equation, and they want us to pick which graph matches it. Well, what we're going to do is put it in slope-intercept form, okay? So I want to change this equation to look like this. So I'm going to rewrite it because you know I write really big. And I'm going to use my skills. And this skill that we're going to use together here is something we do almost every day in here, is rearranging an equation, putting everything to the other side, getting something by itself, all those different things. We want to isolate the y, get the y by itself. Okay? So I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. That's my first step. Remember, you want to cancel that out. So that leaves me with 4y equals, and if you want to put your line through it, go right ahead. And technically, you could put 14 minus 7x, but we want the x to come after the equal sign. So I'm going to do negative 7x plus 14 instead. So the order does matter when we're putting it in a specific form like that. And last step would be to divide everybody by 4. And then we're just going to simplify this. So negative 7 over 4. Now let me show you what's going to happen. So let's go over this again. Some of you might be able to look at that and say, it's already simplified. I don't need to put it in my calculator. Oh, okay. So if you know that's simplified, great, move on. Okay, you don't have to do anything. But maybe you look at negative 7/4 and you're like, oh, she told me I always have to simplify my fractions. Let me make sure I do that. So you would go 7 negative fraction key 4. Now when I hit enter, it's going to change this improper fraction to a mixed number, okay? Let me show you. It's going to go to negative 1 3/4. Well, we don't ever write a slope like that, okay? So we want it to be an improper fraction. So remember how to do that? We hit the shift fraction button, and it brings us back to what we had to start with because it was already simplified, okay? Same thing with the 14/4. 14 fraction key 4 equals, oh yeah, what do I do when it gives me the mixed number? That means 3 1/2, okay? So what that means, I'm just going to write it right here, 14/4 is the same as 3 1/2. They are equal. Your calculator's not broken. It's just another way of writing that. 4 goes into 14 3 times with 1 left over. But we want to write it differently. So again, shift fraction key brings us to 7 halves. See, that's simplified. Now, which one of these matches this? So remember, the first thing I told you, and this is a great thing to put on your reference sheet or on your note card, guys, is what direction a positive slope goes in and what direction a negative slope goes in, okay? Positive slopes rise left to right. Negative slopes fall left to right. So the minute we have a negative slope, give yourself that fighting chance. You could do a 50-50 right now. So I can get rid of this one and this one because they both have positive slopes. They're rising left to right. We have a negative slope. So even if you got confused after that, 50-50 chance is a pretty good chance. But let's not guess. Which one of these has 7 halves? What is 7 halves? Oh yeah, 7 halves or 14/4 is the same as 3 1/2. So that would be this one. See where the y-intercept is 3 and a little bit more? This one has a y-intercept of 2. Okay. So guys, as I've told you before, I don't get to make your test. I don't get to see your test. Any test seeing I get is when I look over your shoulder when you guys are taking tests. I don't get to see it even afterwards. But this review, the reviews I make for you, come from the county. And you guys have seen on the last 2 tests, not the cycle test, but the Module 1, Module 2 test, that a lot of times the same questions are there, right? You've seen it over and over again. So I'm hopeful, hope to the math gods, that you'll recognize some of these questions tomorrow. Maybe you even wrote them out on your note card, okay? So we can all get really good grades on this test tomorrow and drop the lowest one. Even if it was an F. If you have an F on a test and an A on tomorrow's, the F gets thrown away. Gone. Goodbye. Okay? That's why we're making such a big deal out of this test. Okay. So a bowling alley charges a flat fee. What I was getting to is I feel like we've seen this question 5 million times. A bowling alley charges a flat fee to rent shoes. There's an additional fee for each game played, and that function is represented by this. Okay? So it says X is the number of games that you play. So interpret the parameters. There's a new word. Think of in context what parameters mean. Just answer the questions. Okay? What do those 2 numbers represent in real life? Okay? So one of them is a flat fee. Flat fee means one time. You'll pay it one time and that's it. Okay? And then the other one, you have to pay per game. How did I know that? Because they told me X was a number of games that you play. So guys, somebody tell me, which one of these do you think is the shoe charge, so the flat fee to rent shoes? Which one? Is it $3 or $2.50 to rent the shoes? 3. Because there's no X next to it. You pay the $3 one time. That's the flat fee. Then you get charged for each game. How many games? Well, it depends on you, right? X is the number of games you play. Play 1 game is $2.50. 2 games is $5, and so on. So $2.50 represents the price per game. Okay? Right? Number 5, which function represents, okay, this is one of those ones where as your math teacher, I just want to apologize. I feel bad that we're having this question. This is a huge concept. We talked about it for 3.7 seconds and we moved on, okay? So I want to give you guys really good conversation about this question so that you get, I know it's going to be on there. I know it's going to be on there tomorrow, okay? Something like this, okay? what I taught you guys was there's a basic form of every graph called a parent function. So that's the most basic form of a line. Then you throw some numbers into that equation and it moves the graph, translates it, this word translation, moves it left, right, up, and down, okay? And where the numbers stand in the equation tell you what happens. So let me show you what I mean. The number in the parentheses, so let me write this. We call that H, and the number over here we call K, right? This is perfect note card stuff. In the parentheses is your left and right. L, left, R, right. The K is your up and down. Now, the sign in front of each of your H's and K's differentiate between L, R, U, or D. So here we go. If there's a negative H, we go to the right. It's opposite of what you would think of, okay? Because normally we think of a negative number on the x-axis, we think of it going to the left. But because of the minus in the equation, the formula, it's opposite, okay? A positive H goes to the left, okay? But K is not opposite, okay? A positive K goes up and a negative K goes, sorry, squeezing it in here, goes down. So the question is, which one of these goes 2 to the right and 8 units down? Right 2, down 8. So right 2, look at your notes. Is there going to go right, is there going to be a minus or a plus in front of our 2? Look here, guys. Negative H goes right. Negative H. If you wrote this, you have to get it right. So immediately we know we can get rid of this one and this one. It said right, that means minus 2. Okay, right is minus. Down 8 is also subtract. Minus K. So we want the one that has minus and minus. That would be A. Perfect note card stuff. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Sadie, did you get here late? I didn't remember opening the door. Wait, I marked you absent. I will fix it. I will fix it, my darling. Maybe you were like getting your calculator when I looked over there or something like that. Weird. Oh, I only marked you absent in my grade book, not online. Okay. Okay, so 3-inch pieces are repeatedly cut from a 42-inch string. The length of string after x cuts. So every x is the number of cuts. Okay? So there's a total of 42 inches, and then you subtract 3 inches for each cut. So 1 inch, you would subtract 1 cut, you put a 1 in there, you subtract 3. 2 would be 6, and so on. Find and interpret the x and y intercepts. There's that word again, intercepts. Okay? They want us to find the x-intercept and a y-intercept. Okay? I remember she said, anytime I have to find intercepts, I'm plugging in 0 for the opposite letter. So for the x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So here's my equation. 0 equals 42 minus 3x. For my y-intercept, I will plug in 0 for x. And then I simplify them. For my x-intercept problem, I'm trying to get x by itself. That means this 42's got to go. I would subtract 42 from both sides. Don't forget, guys, there's a negative in front of that 3. Now, I know I'm not like asking you guys questions today. I'm just giving you this whole thing from my mouth. We'll just make sure we feel really confident. We'll get back to where I'm asking you for help on questions when we get to Module 4. So a couple days from now, I'll be ripping out pages again. Okay, 42 negative divided by 3 negative is 14. The x-intercept is 14. Okay, and we'll interpret it in a second. Let's just solve this one. Oh, I can simplify that. 3 times 0 is 0, and 42 minus 0 is 42. So the x-intercept is 14. This means, so remember what the ordered pair is, right? When x is 14, y is 0. So that's a way of saying the same thing, right? That's an x-intercept. X, you go to right 14, up or down 0. So remember, x is the number of cuts. So this means that after 14 cuts, how long is the string going to be? 0 inches. Y. So x was the number of cuts, y is the length of the string. And that makes sense. 42, you cut it 14 times, you have nothing left. Okay? The y-intercept, so 42 inches, it already told us. It started as 42 inches, and then we started cutting. So the y-intercept 42 means that the initial, why am I using that word? Because I think you're going to see it. Sounds like a fancy word, but initial just means what you started with, okay? That the initial length of the string, what we started with, is 42 inches. That's what that means. So it's not always just good enough to be able to find the mathematical answer. You guys are learning that in this class. There's a lot of interpreting, making sure you understand what it is you just found, okay? So if you need to go back and find some, parts in the word problem to help you, do it, okay? More than halfway done. Zin has $126 to purchase balloons for her friend's party. Each balloon costs $6. So they're giving us this equation, and it represents the amount of money Zin has after purchasing N balloons. Okay? So amount of money is our P, and N is number of balloons that you buy, right? So how did I get that information? I went back and read the problem again until I could understand what it meant. There's clues in there somewhere. It'll tell you everything you need. So what is the zero of the function? You've only seen that once or twice. The zero of the function is your x-intercept, okay? It's another word for x-intercept. Plug in 0 for what? X-intercept, plug in 0 for what? X or Y? Y. Always plug in for the other letter. Alan, write that on your note card. When you want the x-intercept, plug in 0 for y and vice versa. So what is the 0 of the function? Oh, okay. I'm going to plug in 0 for y. Wait a second. There's no y in this problem. What makes more sense that is y? The p or the n? P. Right? From where it's standing, y equals blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to put in 0 for p and solve for n. So I'm slowly moving everybody to the other side. Those cancel. Don't forget that negative in front of the 6. Divide by -6. Divide by -6. And over to the calculator. 126 negative divided by 6 negative is 21. So the 0 of the function is 21, right? When x is 21, y is 0. So here's that thing again where it's not good enough just to get the answer. We then have to interpret it. So go back to what we called those letters, okay? So this is like your N and that's like your P. Number of balloons. If I buy 21 balloons, how much money do I have left? 0. So that's what the 0 of the function is telling us. When we spend all our money, how many balloons do we have left? So that would be B. You guys are doing excellent. 8 and 9 are the same type of problem. 10 and 11 are the same type of problem. 8 and 9, we spent a lot of time on this on Friday. So if you weren't here Friday or don't remember Friday, here it is again. This is one of the number one things I should see on that note card. Not that I'm checking. You can put anything on your note card that you want or nothing. Some of you are not writing anything. But let me read. The table shows the distance a runner has traveled, y in miles, x minutes after the start of race. Okay, when you see these tables of values, don't get intimidated. First column is always your x's, second is y. I don't even have to read it. That's x, that's y. We're never going to change the order. Don't worry. Okay? Time that a runner is running, how far they went. Okay? What is the runner's average rate of change in miles per minute from 60 to 120 minutes? Okay. Rate of change, average rate of change, that's slope, that's m, okay? So if you need to write that somewhere on your note card, m is the same as slope, is the same as rate of change. They all three are interchangeable. You can call them any of them. I left off the word average for rate of change. You could add it on if you wanted to, but rate of change or average rate of change, slope, m. All of those things mean the same thing. And we have a formula for it. It's not on your formula sheet. You have to know it for the EOC. For the test tomorrow, you can have it on your note card. So if you haven't written it on there yet, if you were here Friday and followed instructions, you did write it on Friday. But here's the formula. And we're going to do 2 problems. And a lot of you struggled with this. So have an example on your note card that you can just say, oh, I'm just going to find the one on my note card and just follow the exact same pattern. Notice y's are on top, x's are on bottom. That's non-negotiable. That's how it always will be. You can't just say, today I'm going to put the x's on top. You'd get it wrong, okay? And in the word problem, it's always going to zero in on 2 of the however many ordered pairs, because that's all these are. This is 0, 0, 30, blah, blah, blah. They want to know from this time to this time. They want to know from 60, 6.42 to 120, and 12.0 is the same as 12. So why make it more complicated? Okay? So when you hear rate of change, you know it's this formula. Read a little careful. Find the 2 points they want. So we don't use anything else in that problem. This is all we need, okay? Now remember my little arrows. Remember how we put y's on top. This y sub 2, that's how you say that, y sub 1, that means the second y minus the first y. Second y minus the first y. Put the arrows on yours so you have something that matches it. You do it the same every time. If I gave you 100 of these, you would do the same thing every single time. You'd never change the order. The bottom means second x minus the first x. So 120 minus 60. The rest is calculator work. 12 minus 6.42. We get some weird numbers. That's okay. We're not here to judge. Numbers can be weird if they want to. 120 minus 60 is 60. And we would simplify that. Okay? Now listen, that's a fraction, right? But your calculator does not let you put decimals in fractions. Watch what happens. 5.58. And then when I try to hit the fraction key, and then when I try to type 60, it just types it right in there with it. It didn't make it a fraction. It does not like decimals being with fractions. So we're just going to divide it. Remember, a fraction is just division. 5.58 divided by 60. And we get 0.093. It's weird. That's what it is. Okay, let's move it along here. Rate of change, slope. What 2 years? This one, this one. So I have 2010, 30,105, and 2020, 31,630. Okay. Same exact thing we just did. I'm just not writing the formula again. Y's on top. So make my little fraction. Second y minus the first y. 31675 minus 30105. Who needs the commas? Not us. Second x minus the first x. Oops. To the calculator I go. 31675 minus 30105 is 1570. Just got that right from my calculator. When I do the denominator, I would get 10. And then 1570 divided by 10 is 157. For sure, you will have at least one problem like that on the test tomorrow. I just know it. Okay? So if you didn't have a chance to write any of this on your note card, make sure you do by tomorrow. Okay? Last type of problem, the most recent one. This is the simple interest. So account X, initial deposit, interest rate for 20 years. Account Y, initial deposit, interest rate for 20 years. How much more do we make in this account than this account? So I just kind of summed it up for you. Bottom line is, as you read the problem, I'm just trying to speed it up a little bit. If you see the word simple interest, see that? You know, oh, that's on my formula sheet. Maybe you don't want to waste room on your note card for this formula because if you can have your formula, your reference sheet out, okay? But this is your simple interest formula. It's right printed on there for you. Okay. And remember, P is your principal or initial amount. Okay? So we're going to do account X first. So P is 8,000. R is 1.8%. But don't forget, guys, you have to do a little work to the R. This is the most common mistake I'm worried about tomorrow. This is the biggest mistake I'm worried about. That you guys are just going to plug 1.8 in for R. You don't. You always have to do a little bit of work to your R. So let me just do it right here. Remember, if it's a decimal point in there, you have to move it 2 places to the left. So there's 1, there's 2. If there's nothing there, you make it a 0. So 1.8% becomes 0.018. That's what you're going to actually plug in. Okay? And T for 20 years. So we're just going to plug those 3 in and solve. The amount in our account when we start with 8,000, parentheses, 1 plus R times T, 0.018 times 20. Be careful that you're knowing the difference, that you know the difference between what's a decimal and what's multiplication. And then also be careful, guys. There's lots of ways you can make mistakes in this, so let's make sure we don't. That you don't just type it left to right. If you just start typing 8,000 times, you're going to get it wrong. You have to put proper order of operations in your calculator, okay? So you actually work right to left. We're going to multiply in the parentheses, then add 1. So that's 20 times 0.018. Or the other way around, right? 0.018 times 20 is where we started. Plus 1 times 8,000. So the account X would have $10,880 in it. That's a dollar sign. So I did 0.018 times 20 plus 1, so that gave me my parentheses, then times 8,000. Let's do the same thing over here. A little bit different information. Principal is 10,000. My R is 0.2%. I know I have to do a little bit of work to it. So 0.2, decimal point 1, 2, put a 0 in. And time is 20. Plug right into your formula. 10,000 parentheses 1 plus 0.002 times 20. So multiply these two together, add 1. Start there. So 0.002 times 20 plus 1. So I get 1.04 in the parentheses, then times 10,000. So the amount in this account would be 10,400. Again, we did the math, but we have to answer a question about it. How much more will account X be worth than account Y? What will I do with those two numbers? Subtract them. So 10880 minus 10400. Almost done, guys. I know it's a lot to listen to me talk for this long. $480. What time is it? 10:45. Okay, last question. Consider a $2 principal investment, 10% annual, there's that simple interest again. That leads me to know I'm using that formula. I have to read it. There's no other way to know. Just write the formula. That's it. Write the formula. So principal would be $2, right? That's how much I'm starting with, the initial amount, $2 principal interest. My rate is 10%. But don't forget you have to do something to your R every time. Every question, lots of times there's rates and word problems. We always will have to do this work. When there's no decimal point in it, it's just easier to divide by 100. Just do it right in your calculator. 10 divided by 100. 10 divided by 100. It is moving the decimal point 2 places. It's just easier to do with your calculator. So when the decimal point's in there, move it. When it's not, just divide by 100. So the formula would be principal. Principal is 2. 1 plus, there's my R, and it said let T represent time. And that's a fine answer. There's nothing wrong with that answer. So it could be that, or it could be simplified. So let's just simplify it, where you would distribute the 2. So I just don't know what they would give you as multiple choice. So 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 0.1 is 0.2. So either one of those, guys, I would accept. They could offer it to you. So it just said to write the formula. It didn't ask for you to find any actual amounts. Okay? So you have a lot of things that you could put on there. Whatever you want to write on there is fine. You have about 3 minutes left in class. We used a lot of time, 4 minutes. So if you want to finish working on your note card, if you're done with it, put your name on it. I'm happy to hold it for you, or you can hold it for yourself. Whatever works best for you guys.